Hello, William More here, founder of the BlackTree Foundation, and I literally want to waste zero of your time. So today I'm straight up going to get into the topic AI and creativity and African perspective. Basically, in this video, I'm going to be trying to sort of string out what I think should be the African perspective when it comes to generative AI. So, if you haven't been living under a rock somewhere, then surely you know that AI has become the buzzword that has replaced, I guess, crypto from some years ago. And you've probably also seen all the images. You've seen people say, "Oh, they're using it for writing, etc." And if you've noticed, for a lot of artists, this has sort of been like the coming of the big bad wolf, and it's very understandable why. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's because it's stealing our work," and but I don't think it's really about the stealing of the work to train. I think it's more of the fact that artists are becoming aware that there is a new substitute for our labor, and this just isn't any substitute. This is a substitute that is more efficient than any human being could possibly dream of being. I mean, um, you could illustrate an entire chapter of your work with AI in a single evening, just sat down watching TV. For a real artist to have to draw all that out, and it's just too efficient. It might not be as good, but it's more efficient. And if you look at the sort of a market that we exist in now, then you would find out that in a lot of ways, being efficient even pays more than being good. Like, you want to be able to produce another novel every month to keep readers reading. We're sort of on that hamster wheel creative situation. So of course it's very understandable why a lot of artists are like, this is gonna be a problem, it's already hard enough to stand out with like a gazillion other works around your work, and now there's gonna be even more stuff at the floodgates. And in particularly, I've noticed artists sort of from the global north or like the west, etc., are very, very upset about this whole AI revolution thing. It's seen as a real threat to livelihood, and it's also very understandable. But from an African perspective, I would ask us to look at something a little bit differently. The notion of theft, whether it's labor, resource, now in this century data. Um, it's something where, as an African, we've sort of lived with it for much longer. From as long as labor, theft with slavery, moving into sort of like proper colonialism. This we're talking land grabs, resource grabs. Um, and now we're sort of in this new, I guess I would call it a techno-colonial era, where it's sort of now like a data grab, I guess. And if you look at all these incidents as well, you would see it all has the same sort of. It starts off with this idea of we're coming to do good. We're coming to build Africa and develop culture and give you all these cool, nice things we have. But of course, no one comes to do that because they don't give you they don't give you Plato's dialogues. They would give you a Bible instead. You know, and we end up in a situation where it's like, okay, even after we're gone, we're gonna have sort of this debt trap system and all these other sort of neo-colonial systems to sort of make sure that you're never quite really out of the place of being a resource extraction zone, right? And what is happening now is that for the first time, a group of people who do not have any experience, not just any experience, who do not even have the idea that their resource could be so easily plundered, are sort of waking up to realize that, oh wow, like these tech giants have really just made out with all our work pretty much, and there's nothing we can do about it. And it's one thing to feel that loss of like, oh, someone is scraping my work or whatever, but it's something else also for that powerlessness that, yeah, there's nothing really you're going to do about it, you know. And I find it interesting, that this is obviously creating such a visceral reaction because, like, and make no mistake about it, majority of the data used to train AI is probably from the global north, technically speaking, because they've just had more internet access, more use. If you check stats about things like number of books published and all that, the numbers are clear where the data. I'm not saying that there hasn't been data from other parts of the world. Of course there has, but But yeah, just making that point. And it's really interesting as well because this is the first heist where Africans would finally be able to also participate from the spoils of the heist. So before it would be, if there was a land grab here or a resource extraction here, it's just stuff that gets extracted, to wherever, and the populace in that place gets to enjoy it. And in a lot of ways, you can make the argument that that enjoyment has led to a lot of the development, that is sort of it's not really on the labor of the people directly, is also on the sort of like the extraction from other places as well. I mean, like, look at Congo for all the water resources the place has. It's just an absolute hellhole. That value that should have been in Congo is somewhere else right now. It might be spread across places, but it's somewhere else. So yeah, but this is the first time that Africans would actually be able to participate in the loot, which means that the things that are being built with this stolen property, this is the first time where Africans would actually, in a very real way, be able to participate in using this product, and and I hate to say it, but like, I think this is a good thing for us. Well, actually, no, I don't hate to say it. I think this is a good thing for us, and I'll tell you why. um what AI is going to eventually do is it's going to flatten the playing field. It's already flattening it. For a very long time, when it comes to creativity, um, Africa doesn't perform as well as it should on the world stage because there were just so many barriers from an economic standpoint. If I have to buy a good laptop that can run Blender before I can even enter the animation industry. Think about how much money I'm spending in a much weaker currency. Then I have to pay for these programs that are costing hundreds of dollars, and I have to hire like so many people buy all this equipment. What AI is basically doing is making all these things sort of like, you just need a simple laptop. You can run most of it on the cloud, and you just pay your subscription and you're good. We have not even begun to imagine a world where the like five guys in Lagos can make something that looks like Disney made it. And this is not, this is stuff that is very well within our timeline. If you use the technologies and you already know how good they are, we cannot even begin to imagine how much this is going to reshape the world. Think about Afrobeats music, for example, right? Obviously, Africa has always made great music and all that, but the music has never sort of been in this position of global domination, or like at least like strong global competition. It is now. Why? Because somewhere along the timeline, we had home studios. Home studios allowed anyone that could just, cobble up a little laptop, Fruity Loop. We had home studios, and we had those like more accessible software, but it was bootleg it, or it didn't cost an arm and a leg. And all of a sudden, there's just way more people making stuff. So obviously, the quality is just gonna get better, and there's just more stuff for the fans. And as a population, make no mistake about it, Africa is a very, very populated continent. So obviously, all these things line up. But if you remove the notion of the home studio, if you remove the notion of streaming platforms, and this goes as far as like YouTube, that pay for, like all just internet access to music. None of this would have been possible because for you to make it as a Nigerian musician, you would have to be like, like Fela or like Olivia Coco, someone like one of those guys that has a deal with a known foreign um brand, like a record label that would produce the music and shoot your tour and all that kind of stuff, you know. And this is not to say, of course, like the music now is still largely on platforms like Spotify or YouTube, which is still generally owned by people in the global north. But at the very least, we are able to export the culture now. Like the highway actually allowed us to export the culture, unlike a time when it would have literally been impossible to even export the culture. And this is where I really see AI going. And I do think Western corporations need to really keep a keen eye on this technology because and I'll tell you why. If you cannot begin to imagine a world where 10 people, for example, can put together a Disney level like project. A lot of people think, oh, AI is going to be horrible because it's going to allow these corporations fire all the artists, and you're not understanding the notion is that this allows you and a few of your friends to become the corporation. That is actually where we are headed. So if they're firing the artists to have machines make, I don't know, machines make machine art or whatever, people are going to be building new things. And this is why I also think this is a very exciting time for African creators, because we have so many untold stories. We have a population that is willing to engage in these stories. If you YouTube African folktale, you'll see African stories like very typical in the African style and all that. And these are purely AI generated stories, by the way, with lots of visuals, and you will see the views are already going wild. These are not even being done by quote unquote professional writers. These are just basically people that are just like, hey, this YouTube thing could work. I'm going to make a couple of stories. That is the wave that we are actually getting on now. So, as an African artist, um, honestly, I very much welcome the notion of AI. I think in the grand scheme of things, where it puts the continent, and make no mistake about it, look, if you well, creatives are always going to exist. There is no such thing as the end of creatives. No, the computer doesn't know what to do. Even you need to, at the very least, it needs creative direction. You need to tell it what to do. What it generally is just a tool. That's all it is, just a tool. Obviously, it would really affect people that are like, I guess, if you were in sort of like, and it's affecting me as well because I do freelance as well, like for writing. So I understand that that is a market that will be lost. But I'm urging people to sort of look at the bigger perspective, the bigger opportunity here. As far as it's concerning economics, we are getting to a place where labor is going to be ridiculously subsidized, technology is going to be ridiculously subsidized, and I think this creates something for African writers that we've actually never seen before. Um, uh, if you are working in the Western Hemisphere, you also have the same opportunities. The only difference is now all the opportunities are actually equal. So we're all going to be sort of competing on a very close to equal, equal space. And, I strongly believe that it's big enough in the market. I would urge people in the global knowledge device, whatever we want to call it these days, to just, embrace this technology, understand that it's here to stay. This is how colonialism works. They're going to tell you we're going to make labor cheap. We're going to, in fact, we didn't even have to work anymore. It's going to be a chilling time. There's always a promise of good in every sort of like colonial takeover. It's a system that we're very used to. And but once the powers are concentrated, then and it's funny because we've already seen this before with social media. When social media was a brand new, it was sort of like, oh yeah, please come give us your data. We'll help you connect. We'll help you grow your fans and blah blah blah. And they got all the people, in all the data, etc. And then now it's sort of like, yeah, if you want people to see your stuff, you have to pay us. And it's almost impossible for you, like all this content I'm making, I have to put it out on some kind of social media. That's you know but yeah, but the promise that it came was that, oh, we will connect you, and but what it actually is no, we will extract value from you when you become dependent on this system. It's how the colonial mindset works, and it's very much playing out in this whole AI debacle. The only thing that is new is that it's actually extracting from a group that were previously sort of like a sacred, sacred kind of group. So it's a lot of people are not very happy about that. But yeah, I don't know what you guys think. I don't know if you guys think it's going to be horrible for African artists. I don't think so. I think it's going to be opportunity on opportunity. Um, I think moving from a fear mindset to an opportunity mindset is very, very key in this situation. And I'm gonna do other videos where I'm working on a project currently where I'm, actually using AI. Sort of my first AI project to, try out to see how the technology actually works in a project. I'll be doing updates on those, just to, yeah, but I think this is a great time. Very great time for artists. So, see you on the other side of the AI revolution. May we all win. Bye.